My name is Clay Stapleford. I am an artist, abstract painter specifically. I've known Tommy maybe a couple years at this point. Tommy is one of those bigger than life characters. So as soon as you meet him, he's gonna have an impression on you. And you're either gonna love him or you're gonna hate him, but that's part of his charm. And we met through mutual friends. Right away, it was kind of like one of those, okay, I'm gonna know this guy for a very long time. The mastermind really has been the past year. So I had known him and met a couple of guys that are also in the mastermind through Tommy. It took a good year for us to really get to know each other, to learn to trust one another, and then to have the foundation to know that we would like thrive in an environment like that, and where we would learn from each other and grow from one another's kind of experience, because we all have very different kind of backgrounds. And what he's good at is being honest with himself. Part of becoming vulnerable is first becoming honest with yourself. Then you can be honest with other people. And vulnerability is a big part of that. And that's where growth happens, when you're honest with yourself and you're vulnerable. That's a lesson that Tommy has exemplified for me over and over again. And I recognize it because through the creative process, I've noticed it in myself, but I've been able to identify it because I see it in someone else. The idea of you attract the right people at the right time. And especially for a guy like me, where this comes so easy. This is like breathing, but staying on top of, taking steps, actionable steps, business-wise, to help this grow, because no one will see it and experience it unless I am organized and set goals, follow through.
Was he able to help you align that structure to achieve the goals that have actually gave you the freedom to fully be comfortable in your journey?
And that specifically is a lot of what we talked about in the mastermind group, which really lasted for the year. It's learning to set the right goals. It's the compound effect too. It's just the idea of taking actionable steps, no matter how small, over time. When you're steadfast and you just continue down that path and just continue to tell the universe, where you're going. One of the things Tommy talks about a lot is making choices. And I think about it in how it relates to my art, because when I paint, what I do very well when I paint is not getting my own way. I just follow my instinct. I let my being be a conduit where my subconscious is just making choices and I'm allowing it to flow. My brain is not in my way. In life, I think that can serve us in one of the ways is by being able to make conscious choices. Tommy talks about that a lot. And I relate it to my art because that's when it feels most natural. But when I learn to live that way, he's quite dynamic. He fills the room. You want to listen to him. He's got the kind of enthusiasm and kind of ability to be direct, and it makes him very vibrant. It's fun to see someone come into themselves and deliver. Do it, no holds barred, unashamed, honest, in love, and it just worked. His true heart came out, and that's just fun to see.
Made my back tingle. Watched it. 100 people were enthralled,
Yeah.
And so how does that back tingle feel, because that's kind of like what I get whenever I'm around people that, you were talking about earlier. You meet the right people at the right time.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you tingle, and it's that inspiration. It's almost like that subconscious inspiration that you were talking about earlier about your art and how it lets it flow. And sometimes my brain gets in the way too, whether I'm mixing a song or editing a video. I'll OCD to the point to where I'll tear it apart when it was already done. Or sometimes if you have that person outside input from somebody to see you in a more, not positive light, but in a complete light, to let you know whenever you've hit that point, like it's done.
I mean, beyond friendship, which is priceless, serves a lot of different roles, just as a confidant or as someone that would hold me accountable, someone that asks me tough questions, someone that encourages me, someone that I can count on in a tough spot, someone to laugh with, someone to kind of do life with, grow with, a brother. Yeah, with the mastermind, there were 4 of us. In the beginning, we were meeting weekly and going through a book together. And for the first probably 2-3 months, Tommy was leading every week, directing traffic, kind of posing questions pre-meeting, and then we'd come together to kind of discuss topics, and he would be facilitating. Over time, we began to kind of mix things up, and we would each take responsibilities of kind of leading a different week. But he was the mastermind of the mastermind. And I know Tommy's involved in a number of masterminds, and part of going through the mastermind is to kind of learn the process so that we can then kind of lead our own masterminds with others, and so that it grows.
Showed the structure, then delegated parts of the structures to people in the group.
Yeah,
Hand off
I mean,
responsibilities so that, model it and then hand off little parts that can have small successes.
Yeah.
So is part of this process built on small success?
Every success is built on small success. That's something absolutely he talks about. Is every decision is a decision for yourself or not, and each one of those decisions becomes like a habit, and those habits become our life. Yeah, you hang around Tommy, you'll hear him say that more than once.
Like internally, like you're struck, because it seemed like when I first met you, you had that struggle between to chase the passion of acting or art, and that seemed to be a pretty significant struggle.
And the struggle of making this reality, this transition was really a deconstruction and then reconstruction of my life. So when I say the right people come into your life at the right time, he's a good example for a lot of reasons, but one, business-wise, and encouraging me time and time again as I was creating, but then also pay attention to what you're doing, laying the foundations for the business, because that doesn't come as natural to me with something so creative, getting more clinical about the business and continuing to let the passion out on the canvas. He taught me a lot about how to kind of switch gears in ways that served me on both ends. When you find people in your life where, one great thing about Tommy is his honesty with himself, and then not afraid to being honest with someone else about anything, and bring up the elephant in the room that people often like to ignore. When you meet someone, and one of the reasons why I know we'll be friends for life is I can tell him anything, and I know he won't judge. He will accept, and will, if I need guidance, he'll guide. If it's just a listener, he'll listen. It's wisdom to know the difference, and just you always can count on him.
Like the other ones that are out there.
I mean, hang on. He's got a lot of great ideas, so you might want a pen to write stuff down. He's just enthusiastic. He knows how to use few words to get over the point. So he's easy to listen to. So you'll listen to a 30-minute podcast and you'll wonder where that 30 minutes went. Enthusiastic, engaged, energetic. You know what I mean? Just a good vibe.
Buddies that was actually there, that performed, is getting a seminary degree, and he had to write like a paper about a communal event. He paralleled that to breaking of the bread, confession, and it being in a church, ironically, and it kind of had this like transcendent spiritual kind. It was almost like a time warp in there to me. It was really strange. It was like, I talked on Tuesday. It was like a perfect storm. you know, and it was a kind of a perfect spiritual storm. And a lot of times people are afraid to get to that inner spirit.
Well, I mean, the energy in the room was really good that night, for sure. And he gave his whole heart. And he did it and he shared with people that he loved the most and that he knows love him. And so that kind of vulnerability done with that kind of strength it leaves a mark.
And how does that mark become a bridge for the public at large that might need that bridge? Because it's a tough time out there these days. It's a hard world. You know, people are beat down. People are getting put on pills instead of trying to really find the solution.
What makes me think of something Tommy says all the time is participate in your own rescue. And that is always an option for all of us, no matter where we are, no matter what we're going through, is we have the ability to choose to participate in our own rescue. And that is something, you know, I learned through Tommy.
He taught you, like, in that mastermind, he delegated a few, like, techniques and whatnot. And I'm sure, like, you've run into some people that are looking to you for, like, a source of positive energy now, even with your success with your art and your belief in it and not chasing it for the money, but because of it makes you happy. And it's like what you're, like, born to do. As a person or two, you don't even have to mention their name. Have you noticed people gravitating to you in a similar fashion and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely, because people are attracted to passion, attracted to life. What art, painting does for me is allows me to experience the joy of creation and to love what I do. That kind of energy just infuses kind of all creation and others in ways that move us forward. We slingshot each other forward. We have that opportunity. Tommy's one of the guys that I get to slingshot forward, and he gets to slingshot me.